Let me bring you in here, Zaid.
Yes.
I know that you've had your eye on youth voter numbers.
Yeah.
Please explain to us what's the story.
It's very, very interesting, actually. Back in March, the IEC released a media statement saying there's been a steady growth in voting registration, a whole 1.3 million increase since our last elections in 2014, and that at nearly 27 million, it is the highest number of registered voters to date. And this is the story South Africans heard.
Of the nearly 2.5 turning up at stations around the country, more than 700,000 were new registrations. 81% of those are the under 30s.
There seems to be a steady flow of young people that we are observing in the voting stations.
But what the IEC forgot to mention was that voter registration of 18 to 19-year-olds was down, a whopping 47%. Voter registration is also down in the 20 to 29 age group. And if you think about it, how fast our youth population is growing, this is not a good news story at all. And the IEC's window dressing didn't go down well with Parliamentary Monitoring Group, who said, "It's a concern as this prevents Parliament from performing effective oversight." The IEC clearly knew there was a problem because they launched a youth registration campaign.
Say, are you registering to vote in the 2019 national and provincial elections?
It's easy peasy.
Looks like the IEC's attempt to speak to young people in, I quote, their everyday parlance wasn't as easy peasy as they thought. Exe, what a fail. Well, we went to UCT to find out how students are feeling about the elections.
To be honest, I don't know how to feel about these elections.
Uncertain, not hopeful.
I can say that I'm very confused at this point in time. Just like, I don't know if I want to vote, I don't know.
It's become about these extra things. This guy isn't doing this. Look at what this guy did. I'm like, but you're not perfect either.
Politicians lie a lot because they give us free Wi-Fi now and then afterwards they take it away. So
quite optimistic, I think.
I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen, like the outcome.
Because it's my first one, so I'm kind of excited to be engaged in the conversation.
Well, I'm actually excited to vote because we just turned 19.
So there's some excitement out there, but we're beginning to realize young people are engaging in other ways on issues that affect them. Political analyst Ibrahim Fakir was recently quoted as saying there's a global trend of young people participating less in formal political processes, but more in types of direct action, like protests and social media. Just think of how Fees Must Fall shook South Africa to its core and created real change.
Nothing! We announced a plan for fee-free higher education for students from poor and working class backgrounds.
So Lester, what do you make of this drop in youth participation?
I think essentially, I think young people don't see people who look and sound like them, particularly in the theatre of the National Assembly and Parliament, and people who are driving policy and are actually being in the news. Yes, some political parties like the EFF, they have engaged quite a lot of young MPs to be part of the caucus. The DA does that also very well, bringing particularly young people up into the parliamentary theatre, taking to the podium. But I think the people where it really counts, the majority party, the people who they see in government, like the ANC, I just don't think that they see enough people like that in positions of power to actually get them motivated, not only just to participate in party politics, but in also just going out there and voting and being politically active in society.
Yeah. So we have a friend, Kateko Mabasa, at the Daily Maverick, who wrote a piece with the title, "I refuse to vote, but I still have a right to complain. Is refusing to vote or spoiling your ballot going to make a difference?"
I think it is a profoundly deep political statement to refuse to vote or to spoil your ballot, but you can't quantify that. Even I have thought going in there with a thick cokie and saying, take all of me. But the thing is, the IEC doesn't release the number of spoiled ballots, so it may be a personal political statement, but it's not really going to count. While at the same time, I believe that as a citizen of the country, whether you vote or not, whether you are the highest earner or the lowest earner, everyone has the right to complain.
And so, can you comment on this idea that South Africans are politically engaged, just maybe not at the ballot box? For instance, with hashtag Fees Must Fall. That was a form of political engagement, but it was not necessarily saying, Zach, in your words.
I think it was fees must fall. Well, starting off with the roads must fall movement that preceded fees must fall. It was so encouraging, standing on the UCT sports field and sort of looking around and saying, you know what, the kids are all right, you know? And then going on and following Fees Must Fall was deeply encouraging, seeing this activism and so much effort, like literally putting bodies and lives on the line. It was deeply powerful. But besides that was a big issue. But are you going to see people doing the same for example, SASSA grants, carbon tax levy? I think that we are very selective of what we feel passionately about. And if you look at social media, and I said before, we have plenty of political opinions, but I don't think we are politically involved enough.